Prologue. I lay waiting between turf face and demence wall, between heathery levels and glass-toothed stone. My body was braille for the creeping influences. Dawn suns groped over my head and cooled at my feet. Through my fabrics and skins the seeps of winter digested me. The illiterate roots pondered and died. In the cavings of stomach and socket I lay waiting. On the gravel bottom, my brain darkening, a jar of spawn fermenting underground, dreams of Baltic amber, bruised berries under my nails, the vital hoard reducing in the crock of the pelvis. My diadem grew carious, gemstones dropped in the peat flow like the bearings of history. My sash was a black glacier, winkling, dyed weaves and Phoenician stitchwork, redded on my breasts, soft moraines. I knew winter cold like the nuzzle of fjords at my thighs, the soaked fledge, the heavy swaddle of hides. My skull hibernated on the wet nest of my hair, which they robbed. I was barbered and stripped by a turf-cutter's spade, who veiled me again and packed coombe softly between the stone jambs at my head and my feet, till a peer's wife bribed him. The plait of my hair, a slimy birth-cord of bog, had been cut, and I rose from the dark, hacked bone, skull wear, frayed stitches, tufts, small gleams on the bank.
This is auspicious.
Duvaniel, following the funeral of Amras, you have been taken, one presumes without much resistance, back to the halls of the Elven King, where you have for some time now been sitting in the quiet, in the relative darkness of a very clean, very dry underground chamber, waiting the pleasure of the king. And Oldir is there with you.
Is this essentially a cell?
No one has called it that.
Okay.
Oldir is there with you, sitting, seeming meditative, but also he has not really spoken very much since the Battle of the Skybridge Oak. And you're sitting there waiting for the king to come.
I assume we also attended Tinuel's funeral at the same time.
Yeah, the fallen of those that fell at the Battle of the Skybridge Oak were sort of which would be Amras, Tinuel, and Munin. It was all kind of done together.
Okay, so I assume probably Moonins was in Dale, whereas
No, I mean you have to think about the logistics of transporting Munin's
True.
body back to Dale. I mean that's like 400 miles or something. It would be rather difficult. So a mound was raised for the three of them.
All right. Well, Oldir, you have followed me this far.
Keep going. Go to sleep, girls. Just gonna shut the door.
What fate do you think awaits us?
I have not heard in these long years of the Elven King ordering the death of one of his subjects. But I begin to fear that if ever it has been merited, perhaps we have merited it. And yet, I do not know that we could have done otherwise than what we did.
It does feel as though fortune was not on our side. To meet both the werewolf and Lieutenant of Dolguldur in a single fight seems
Do you is
unlikely.
that who that was?
Who else could it be? I mean, perhaps does she actually know that? I mean,
Uh,
or is that speculation? I mean, is that reasonable speculation?
I think that probably, especially somebody that has learned in lore, there's been a suspicion growing for quite some time now that an evil power has returned to Dol Guldur. Now, she might not know that Lieutenant of Dol Guldur equals Ringwraith, right?
Right.
But I mean, just as, in as much as this is a fell power of some sort which inhabits the Hill of Sorcery, I think it's
Okay.
probably a fairly good guess.
Okay.
An
And
evil fate, yes, and I suspect some treachery.
whose treachery?
How could they have known so quickly that the lamp was abroad?
The creatures, the werewolf and his ilk, or the friends, Amros's friends,
No,
and or the wood.
the first thing, the enemy. I his friends knew the lamp was abroad because the fools set the whole place on fire.
it was it was impressive.
I will say this for Amaras. I do not mean to speak ill of the fallen. He certainly had a flair for the dramatic. What do you think they will do with us?
Well, if I know King Thranduil at all, I believe it is as you say. The shedding of any elf. How do we refer to ourselves?
It's the elven folk, the folk
Any
of
of
the
the
wood.
elven folk. The shedding of our blood is a waste. We are few, and we are obviously needed in this world, though perhaps for purposes other than the men and dwarves would have us here for. But if I know him, which I may or may not, but he is canny, and he will not see us wasted. I suspect I suspect he has some form of penance which he will demand of us, whether that be to guard some ancient place or to perhaps to patrol the elf path for a period, or perhaps to, I don't know, perhaps to have us hunt the werewolf itself. If I had my way, that is what I would seek.
Have you seen the vision?
It depends on which vision we're referring to.
The eyes in the darkness. The heavy weight pressing down on us. I saw it in Amras's eyes before the last madness took him. Have you seen it too?
I assume she has, from what Elrond said in a
Yep.
previously. I have. I know not what magic this is. that gives us both these dreams. If it's perhaps some magic of the lamp or something else.
Not of the lamp. This is a vision of darkness. At that moment, the door swings open, and in steps Thranduil himself. Thranduil is not Thingol of old. He's not even his father Orophyr, and yet he is tall and proud and lordly, and in his blood flows, or in his veins flows the blood of the people of the elven folk of long ago, the elven folk, the Grey Elves of Doriath, and he stands almost a half a head taller than any of the Sylvan folk, and he is his silver hair is pulled back behind his head, and his head is wreathed with a crown of red autumn leaves and holly berries. And as he steps in, his robes sweeping the tops of the stone floor as he enters. In behind him, you see slightly smaller, but with a face chiseled by long years of careful study and wisdom, you see your old teacher, Ormal.
Duvaniel rises and bows her head in respect.
Oldir does the same. You can hear right outside the door the clink of mail as two guards take up positions on either sides of the door, and the door is closed. Thranduil stands before you, and after a moment seats himself in a carved wooden chair. What madness! What treachery possessed you, Duvaniel, Oldir, to steal a great treasure from the allies of the king, to lead it and your friends, to lead the child Finuel into darkness and death. You and your kind have gone with your actions unaccounted for and unexplained and unquestioned for far too long, and I am done tolerating it. Now tell me, what happened, and where is the lamp of Balfi?
My lord.
Would you be, would this be awe or courtesy?
Well, she has zero courtesy. It is not her jam. And I sort of imagine that with about what she's about to say, she's probably, I mean, you're probably not going to actually dare down King Thranduil. But I don't necessarily think she's going to be particularly cowed on the other hand. So would that be awe? I mean,
Well, this is just the introduction, so it's sort of
okay.
so
I
it's
think
that
she's going to
what is the tack that you were taking? Yeah,
I think she's
courtesy.
going to be polite. So that's
Yeah.
going to be courtesy, even though she's terrible at it.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and give me a courtesy roll.
We can roll 14. Yes.
An auspicious beginning, if there was ever one. You and Edrihil both. Very first roll out of the gate was a Gandalf. Maybe Amras just pulled it all down to hell with him. The curse is broken.
Oh.
All right. Please continue.
Duvaniel raises her chin and says, "My lord, I have many regrets, and the greatest of these is that those that followed me and me alone have paid for my mistakes. My brother Oldir was simply following me, and this was my plan and my scheme. And if my lord in his mercy will see fit to
Oldir breaks in. My lord, that is not true.
Oldir, you know it is true. This was my idea. You followed me, just as Tinuel and Amras followed me. There is no shame in admitting that, brother.
Roll persuasion.
Okay, I'm terrible at that too. Or maybe I'm good at it. Maybe I'm great at it. No, I'm not.
What things are you good at?
Awe and inspire. I sort of figured, given her, from what we sort of realized about her personality, that inspire was more fitting for what she did. As it wasn't really a verbal.
Thranduil silences you with a wave of his hand. I did not ask for blame. I have not yet dealt out punishment. What I seek is the truth. Why? Why did you do this thing?
My lord Thranduil, it was the woodmen don't know what they have, or what they had rather. They kept it in a box with a retelling of their own legends, but with no idea of what it was. That this is the lamp, one of the two great lamps of Celebrimbor, lost to us for an age, and yet with these men whose lives are over in but a breath of our own. It was merely my desire to return this to its rightful place in our keeping. The woodmen are in constant peril there in the wood, surrounded by the shadow and orcs, goblins, infighting among themselves. The lamp could be lost at any time, and with it, our heritage and its magic.
I will let you roll inspire for that one, since you managed to put the "and our heritage" to spin right on the end. Are you gonna roll?
Oh, sorry, you cut out right before
you
said enter.
I said I'm gonna let you roll inspire on that one, since you managed to work in the "and our heritage" too right there at the end.
All right. There we go.
All right. They do live in peril, yes. But perhaps that is all the more reason. Perhaps that is all the more reason that they need the lamp. We have other means of protecting ourselves. And he, as he says so, he kind of raises his hand and fingers the brooch at the clasp of his cloak. And as he does so, you almost think you see a gleam of some, like a gem on his finger, but when you look again, there's nothing there. We have other means of protecting ourselves and keeping our realm secure. If Where's the lamp now?
We were found and cornered by the werewolf of Mirkwood, and what I can only guess was whatever foul creature now dwells within the fortress of Duguldur. And they, with a pack of wolves, attacked us, and in the fight before Radagast, does Radagast have an elf name?
Radagast.
Before Radagast came and intervened, it was lost as we fled. If you would let me, my lord, I would willingly return to hunt it and find who has it, even if I must go into the very halls of Duguldur itself.
What traits do you have?
Fair and vengeful. Distinctive features. Oh, traits? That's the right
Yeah,
one?
traits is distinctive features, and then the other thing,
Or does that mean shadow weakness?
you have Elven lore, Mirkwood lore, rhymes of lore, fair, vengeful.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, got all the scholars in this party. Just looking at your sheet real quick. I'll say give me another inspire roll, since you are basically taking the tack that you want to get out there and try to undo some of the harm that you've caused. Do you want to spend a point of hope on that?
Point of hope wouldn't get me there unless it's less than 14.
Let's see. What is that? Inspire is your heart, so 4. Nope.
12, so yeah.
Nope. He sighs a little bit. I fear that to do such a thing would be to only hasten your doom. And Amras, I hear that he played a part in all of this.
Amras was always foolhardy, and he followed.
Oldir breaks in. My lord, a madness took him, as it took all of us. I agree that the lamp belongs in your halls to protect our realm and our children from the encroaching shadow, but we were not ourselves, your majesty. The king looks at you. Is this true?
I think perhaps there is some truth to this, though. Did Duvaniel actually know she was poisoned? Did she, after the fact, realize that, or?
I mean, I would say she had a fairly similar experience to Amras. So,
okay, all right. So
if you feel like Amras would have been able to tell, then
I don't know, because I know he was able to tell from when he drank the poison, first batch of poisoned wine, but then he drank his own wine. I don't know if he'd actually be able to tell which was which.
well, he did have the vision of the.
Oh, that's
the
true.
eyes after he drank his wine.
Yep. So she would too.
Okay.
Um,
And she did not drink the first. I
mm-mm.
don't know.
She would.
Again,
She
the,
would
the fact that there were like 2 poison wineskins in the entire forest of Mirkwood, and you managed to find both of them in the same session is
drink
just
them. Yeah.
amazing. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Um, oh
Okay.
boy.
So yes, my lord, I fear that perhaps there is some enchantment that was upon me and my friends, though I think perhaps it was a subtle magic, and I I can't help but think that perhaps it only fanned the fire of my own will.
Gonna need a persuasion roll.
I didn't catch that last bit. Sorry.
Persuasion roll.
Okay, because I'm good at that.
Yep. Sorry.
It's all right. It's good.
Did you get a 3?
Did I tell a story? I got a 3.
At this point, Thranduil stands. Looks over at Oldir. Oldir nods very slowly. I am angry with you. Both. You have not only committed a great act of villainy, but you have endangered our relationship with the woodmen, who, they are mortals, yes, but their seed will outlast us, Duvaniel. Look around you. The time of the elves is drawing to an end. We are fading. Even I can see that. The time of men is coming, and when it comes, we will need them. What you have done has undone much of the work which I have tried to do, building an alliance in the north since the dragon was slain. It is important that I show myself strong, and that I show to my friends that I take this as seriously as they do. But I am also not without compassion, as Oldir has reminded me. There's a strain in the two of you, and you most of all, Duvaniel, of the elder days, of a time when our people were greater. It is a time which I am old enough to remember, but you are not. So I lay upon you this task. There is a shadow which has fallen upon the wayward elves. Your own words confirm it. Amras's actions confirm it. And you have not been the only ones. There have been difficulties with the bardings, and even the slaying of some of Vigland's men on the western eaves. And while I do not owe Vigland any love, an arrow in secret is not the way that we should be addressing him. So I lay this charge upon you. Find the root of the shadow which is falling upon my people. And if you can, seek the healing of hurts. Or die in the attempt. Until you finish this task, you are banished from my realm. And should you pass north of the path, my march wardens have orders to shoot you on sight. I do not do this with any joy, but it is the task of a king to think not only about the life of one, but about the fate of many. I will give you time to say your goodbyes and make ready for your journey. May the Valar speed you swiftly on your way, and may you, in a time of peace, find your way back again to my halls.
Thank you, most merciful Lord. And we will not fail you, and we will not forget.
So be it. And with that, he stands again, and the interview seems to be at an end. As the king exits the room, Ormal stops at the door and turns back and looks at you and he says, "Oh, my child." And he walks out. Are there any preparations you would like to make before you leave the realm of the Elven King?
There are a couple things I would like to do. First of all, where did Inuel's parents live?
Tinual's parents, if I can just pull up my map here. Tinual's parents live in the Woodland Realm, about, let's see here. Do I have that book in front of me by any chance? I'm trying to remember exactly where that particular oak is, but they live, I'm just going to guesstimate it for now because I would have to look, but it's about 10, 20, 30, 40. It's about 45 miles north and west along the eastern eaves of the forest, west of the northern Dalelands.
Okay, so that's probably, yeah, all right.
It's the opposite of the direction you have been instructed to go.
Right, so, all right. Well then, I don't have any money, I assume.
Elves are sort of a post-scarcity economy. They love beautiful things, and you certainly have your personal belongings, but you probably don't have coinage unless you. I mean, I say post-scarcity economy. Obviously, they have money because they buy wine, but that's really for interacting with outside cultures. As a wayward elf, not so much.
Okay. Big borrow and steal time. All right. I assume there is a weaver of some sort in or around the king's halls.
Sure.
All right. All right. Duvaniel, excuse me, Um, Duvaniel would like to
Yeah,
purchase.
Tinuviel's a different thing.
Yeah, uh, would like to purchase a red cloak.
Okay. It takes you um, a little bit of work to really festive clothing. It's not the elves that the elves don't wear it, but it's not as in high demand as sort of the everyday kind of the rustic browns and greens that they typically wear. But you do find a the Weaver Ivorwen who is able to sort of pull out an old bolt of cloth that she's got lying around and make up something like you're requesting.
All right, and then I assume there is some sort of, I mean, a jeweler of some sort.
Um, Only in a very small way. The elves of Mirkwood are extremely adept at carving wood and basically making anything out of the materials of the forest. But the making of jewelry, gold and silver, and setting precious stones, that is definitely more the dwarves of Erebor.
Okay.
There are jewels in the Elven King's hoard,
Okay.
but
I have from Tinuel. I have a lock of her hair.
okay.
I would like to find a way to carry that on my person, but not, like just in a pocket. I
Hmm.
don't know if there's a way I could get a locket or some other way I could perhaps.
You could, I would say, you could probably make something rudimentary out of wood if you wanted to.
Okay.
You could also always go to Erebor or Lake Town,
Okay.
and or Dale for that matter, and commission a piece. You could also try to maybe cast it in like amber.
Oh, that's a good idea. I have
Um,
zero craft skill, but I mean, I could.
you can certainly try. If you whiff it really badly, you might
That would
you might destroy
destroy.
the sample. So
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily put
That's,
it in like a small leather pouch or something like that until you.
that's probably what I should do. I assume Oldir has no craft skills.
Uh, let me look at. Let me look at Oldir. Nope, no craft skills. Super good at like hunting and stuff though.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Same here.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, then I will do so. I will take a small leather pouch and then hang it around my throat.
Okay.
Um, and then I don't know what or if she would do anything for Moonin.
It's up to you. Just depends on how you think that she would have felt about Moonin.
Well, I think she clearly knows that it's her fault. um, I will think on this, and
Okay.
perhaps I will find another way to memorialize him. If
We can always go rob his grave and take that magical spear.
hey, that's a good idea. Just go. I should do that.
All right.
One last slight upon poor Moonin.
We could do we could do the saga of King Hedrick the Wise and like uh rouse him from his grave and bully him into giving us the magical weapon.
Hey, Moonin, gimme.
Yeah. Or may you rot in your grave and be eaten by ants if you don't. Yeah. Good times. All right.
Playing with your mom jokes until he finally gives
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Which are all the more poignant since Moonin actually has a mother that we've met. Yeah.
up. And yes, now she's bereaved of her only son.
Yes, she is.
Duvaniel.
All
All
right.
right.
So, anything else?
I think I have my bow and my sword and my equipment. Um, hmm.
So as you stand there on
You know,
the
the Wayward Elves, basically one of the major things they have in common is their vineyard, right?
yep.
So if we all drank this wine, we should probably go to the vineyard.
So you're standing there on the bridge overlooking the Forest River. Um, can you hear me all right?
Well, it's my silly. Basically, whenever I'm talking, my speakers decided that no noise is being made, so they shut themselves off, which is useless.
Cool.
So yeah, so
Cool,
I'm gonna
cool.
plug my headphones in here real quick, and then
Yep.
you'll stop cutting out like that. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool, and I can hear you. Cool.
Very good. All right, so you are standing there on the bridge overlooking the Forest River as it is flowing swiftly underneath. Back behind you are the doors to the Elven King's palace, and they are not shut, but you know that they are closed to you. And you can look back, as you look back over your shoulder, you see the guards posted at the magical doors. Actually, I guess they are shut because they just open on command for people who are allowed in. So, yeah. So there are guards that are posted outside the Elven King's doors, and they are just sort of looking rather stoically in your direction. And Oldir turns to you and he says, "Well, where to now?"
Well, take heart, brother. Our home was never in the Elven King's halls. You and I, we're children of the forest, as it were. Of the wood and of the starry skies, of the mountain.
At least of the part of the force that we're not, exiled from.
Oh, give it some time. We'll be back. So, shall we go to the vineyards? I feel that perhaps our last batch of wine left something to be desired, and I am a little dry.
Very well then. All right. So if you're looking at the map,
Uh-huh.
the Elven King's halls are right here,
Mm-hmm.
right? The vineyard is on the slopes of the Mountains of Mirkwood, I believe, right up around where the Enchanted Stream comes out,
Right
if I'm
here.
recalling correctly. Yeah, so right around there.
Well then, we will go there and we will shoot no black stags, and we will. All right. So thence.
All right. So will you be following the course of the Enchanted Stream?
Well, I guess I should ask. Would I know with my Mirkwood lore? Would I know the best route to my
Yes.
between the
for
King's
sure.
Halls and my vineyards?
For sure. With that trait, I mean, you've been to the secret vineyard in the Mountains of Mirkwood more than once. It's like sort of it's like the place where all the cool young elves are going to hang out and get drunk
That's right.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The surest path is just to follow the trace of the Enchanted Stream. Obviously,
Okay.
it's the Enchanted Stream. It's not
That'd be
like
good.
it's not like you're in danger of like deciding you're going to go take a swim in it or something. Like you know what it is.
Falling in there, yeah.
And there's a powerful enchantment of sleep and forgetfulness on the Enchanted Stream, and has been for as long as you remember. Though you don't know why. You don't know if it has to do with something which happened in the Mountains of the Mirkwood, if it is part of the Elven King's magic which protects his realm.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, the Mountains of Mirkwood were themselves once inhabited by your people long ago, and so it might have something to do with that.
Oh.
All right. Well then, All right. So as you travel beside the enchanted stream, its dark waters run past you. Oldir at your side, his spear over his shoulder. Now and then he does break into a song, but they tend to be mournful songs of loss and memory and regret. And although you can't actually see the mountains through the thick trees as you face south, you know that they're there. You can feel them in the upward slope of the ground or in the occasional patches of scree which occasionally break up the primeval wood that you now walk through. But you can also feel them in the foreboding presence, the massive, insurmountable, smothering weight of Middle Earth. And you feel that these mountains have been there huge and looming since the wood before this wood first took root long ago, before the sun had ever risen on the world. It is about a 70-mile journey to the foothills of the Mountains of Mirkwood, and I'm going to need 3 fatigue tests from you.
So that's travel each time?
It will be travel each time, and these will all be at TN 16.
Okie dokie.
Ooh, Oldir's really good at this.
Yeah. Duvaniel's less good at this.
I don't think that would be possible.
Well, that's my first one.
Yep.
Okay. That's my next one. Well,
I'm going to spend a point of hope on the second one.
I also am going to spend a point of hope. So that's going to get me over the top for that one.
Okay. Each failed roll is 3 fatigue, and you should be at full endurance, by the way.
Okay, cool. I was going to ask about that. So, so travel fatigue. Okay, so travel 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
autumn, so each one's 3.
All right, and then one more. Dang it, and I can't even hit that with my taupe. So, okay, 3 more.
Nope. Okay. Well.
All the same, brother. Doesn't it feel like home?
Maybe there's a reason we are the way we are. So, for 11 days, you and Oldir follow the course of the enchanted stream as it leads you onward and upward towards the highlands of the Mountains of Mirkwood. And on the 11th day, you come at last to the foothills of the mountains themselves. And here the thick canopy of trees parts, and for the first time you're able to see the craggy and fur-covered sides, the ancient trees weighed down with moss and lichen, and the ancient cobwebs of great spiders. The smothering weight of the mountain nearly chokes the breath out of your body, and you find you have to steel yourself just to take another step forward. Now, long ago in the Second Age, these mountains were known as the Emenduir, the Dark Mountains, and they were inhabited by the Sylvan folk, people like you. But when the enemy came and poisoned Greenwood the Great, and it became known as Mirkwood, and the Sylvan folk were moved to lands farther north from Dol Guldur, the mountains were renamed the Emenufuin, the Mountains of Mirkwood. The ridges of the mountain before you seem broken and disordered, a jumble of primeval stone vomited up on the land. And although it's not a long way up to the vineyard, the climb will not be an easy one. Not as long as whatever this dark power is continues to bend its will upon you.
Can I sing a song?
Sure.
All right. Brother, did you ever hear Amra sing his song?
Amras sung many songs, though most of the one I heard were not really the sort you repeat in polite company.
This is true. However, he had a traveling song, which, though we did not travel often, he sang it, and it was not it was it was quite decent. And I feel that perhaps as much as he loved this vineyard and would be here right now if things had not fallen out as they have, that perhaps his song is in order. All right,
Well, I
so
assume that means you're going to sing it because I don't know it.
of course, Oldir.
I do know that one he sings about the woman he met in Dale that one time.
Yes, there's a lot of, as I recall, there's a lot of. It's a very vague song.
Well,
I
there's a
don't.
lot of mostly he's trying to rhyme on the word leg too often, and he tries to use words that just don't really work against leg.
Peg.
That's the obvious one.
Well then, as we climb this mountain, I will teach you Amris's song, which, in many senses, it's I suppose it's our song now. The sea calls out to others, but while the song stars look down, tell the shadows, tell my brothers, let the woodland be my crown. The dwarves they have their mountain, the men their towers bold, but for Amras find a fountain in the forest deep and old. The hordes of shadow gather, when fire and death they cry, their cry, give drink and let us thunder, this day we do not die. The sun will rise tomorrow, the tide will seek the shore, in joy or death or sorrow, in Arda dwell I evermore.
It is a good song.
I think probably Duvaniel's voice probably cracks in that last verse or so.
All right. Well, we will take that as an automatic success for your song roll.
Okay.
And is the idea to try to just sort of lighten the burden of the journey a little bit? All right. I will say that for that excellent song, you will get one extra success die that you can apply to
Excellent.
any roll that you make during the remainder of the journey.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Speaking of which, I'm going to need one more fatigue test. TN 20.
Okay, I think I'm going to need my die for
As
this.
you are climbing the mountains.
All right.
There are also going to be some corruption tests. So,
Okay, well, I have to Gandalf this because I'm pretty sure there's no way I can hit 20 with my one in travel. Yeah, no. And I don't think if I got a 6 on that, it would help.
Yep, no.
So, nope.
Cool.
All right, what's my? What do I give the Piper?
It's another 3. It's another 3 fatigue. Oldir is officially weary.
Yeah.
Like he's weary. As you continue up the cliff face, it takes you 3 days to climb up to where the vineyard is. I mean, as the crow flies, it's only like 10 miles, but you have to constantly kind of zigzag your way up the cliff face, following the old trails and the old paths. I'm going to need 6 corruption tests from you.
Holy bajoli!
It is 2 a day, and it is 3 days.
That's wisdom.
That is wisdom.
Okay.
These are all
What's our
against.
TN?
These are all against TN 14.
Okie dokie.
This is the. As I described it, there is some dark power which seems to be bending its will against you as you climb.
And I hope you spend what with hope if you spend hope?
Heart.
Heart. Dang it. Yeah, I could get it. I could hit it. You said 6?
6.
Okay. 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 Well, then I will start with letting. I will let that one slide for now. That's 1 point of shadow. Okay. All right. Next. Ah! Crap!
It's happening again.
Am I miserable now?
You're not miserable. You're not unless your shadow just passed your hope.
No, thank goodness, no.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So that's just a failure.
Okay. So, can I add my? No, it's not gonna make any difference. I'm just gonna fail it if an eye. Okay. All
Well, you don't
right.
automatically fail with an eye. An eye is 0.
Okay.
So you did
So.
get a 9 total.
Mm, yeah, no. Okay. All right. That's of the 2/3. 1/3 failed. Here we
Yep.
go.
That one's fine.
Yes. One fine. Okay. So I now have 5 shadow, assuming I didn't clear any in the.
So
Uh,
go ahead, roll one more.
Okay. I'm gonna roll my extra die on
Okay.
that one.
All right.
There we go. Okay.
So the first 2 days of the climb pass, and the first day, again, you don't know if it's just the crushing weight of the mountains or something else, which seems to be simultaneously trying to crush you down but also draw you in. But there is a heaviness of spirit over you that, despite the song you sang, you're just not able to shake it. The second day, though, Oldir kind of been humming the Amras's traveling song a little bit under his breath, and he together he lifts your spirits a bit, and together you make the climb. You've come now to the final ascent, which will take you on the third day of your journey to the vineyard at the top of the mountain, and I will need 2 more corruption tests.
Okie dokie. And here we go. Okay. All right, I'm going to go and spend a point of hope and
Okay.
push it over top. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll it one more time and let's see what happens. Oi. Yeah, no, okay, great.
Pushing forward, barely, almost with no breath left in you, you crest over the top of the ridge that you were climbing, and you come to where, before you, kind of laid out on large flat terraces, almost like the ancient steps of some staircase cut by giants long ago. There's you see the vineyard, and sort of off to your left, there on 4 different levels, you can see the grapevines growing up, and the grapevines seem they
Not
seem
great, I assume.
large and healthy
Oh,
and verdant and just with huge bunches of rich, delicious purple grapes hanging from them, as it is autumn and it is the time of harvest. Off to the right, you can see the wine press, and which is like a large stone vat, which it has been made out of a natural depression in the rock, flowing down from which a channel has been cut to where the wine can be collected as it is tread.
are there any other elves here?
There are no other elves here.
Okay. Can I pop one of them grapes into my mouth and see what happens?
You certainly can.
Okay.
I will
Duvaniel
need a corruption test.
Awesome. Duvaniel goes up to the one of the vines and plucks the largest, juiciest grape.
As you put it in your mouth, where you were expecting to taste like just like fragrant, juice, explosion of kind of that slightly tangy fresh grape. Instead, it's like you took a mouthful of like sawdust and dead animals. It's got that kind of like that smell to it, that like coughing up a hairball smell, but just like a dry, dusty texture that leaves the inside of your mouth coated with something dry and a bit harsh and sour, bitter rather. Give me a corruption test.
These are not not going to make good wine, brother. These there's a blight. 14.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it! I keep missing it just so I can't even buy it off with hope. Just. I think perhaps this version of the elf curse might actually be worse.
It's like Tantalus with the grapes dangling above his head. He can't quite reach him. Yeah, yeah.
Sucks to be you, man. Okay. All right. It's just one point of shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Racking it up. All right, up to 7. How many? What does that have to be to be miserable?
Equal to your hope.
Okay, so I can burn 3 points of hope before I'm miserable. Fantastic! All right. Well, okay. All right. So the grapes are awful.
But are you sure? They look so good.
Do not eat them, Oldir. If you eat them, I will slap it out of your hand, and then I will slap you for disrespecting your sister.
All right. So, what are you looking for exactly?
I don't know. Would she be able to know if someone cursed or otherwise did something to the vines? Would she
Give me an insight
know?
roll.
Okay.
Insight or maybe riddle.
Oh, I could do riddle. I am good at riddle. 14?
Mm-hmm.
Dang it! Burn that point of hope. I'm gonna be so screwed. Okay,
But it would be a great success.
But yeah, but if I don't, otherwise I'm not really gonna know what I'm supposed to be doing up here. So if there's any time to burn the hope, I guess now is it. All right, gonna burn that point of hope. All right, and that's +8 because that was a favorite. So
Duvaniel, as you kind of reach out and you touch the cluster of grapes again.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do, your fingers almost seem to brush against something. And there's a flash, and for a brief moment, you see the vineyard withered. Small, shriveled, gnarled stalks of vine, twisting, choking, reaching not towards the sun, but almost as if they are simply trying to choke out the other. And from the vines hangs small and shriveled fruit that crumbles away to dust as you touch it. Across the vineyard, you can see heavy black webs.
Crap, I was thinking that might be it. Okay, so can I tell if what I'm seeing is an illusion? As in, the grape that I ate was actually a tiny, dusty, nasty raisin thing?
With your great success, as you look across the vineyard and you see it now, as it is. The heavy black tendrils of almost palpable darkness. You look down at your clothing and you see that you, too, have been enmeshed in the web, and that there are long black tendrils wrapped around your arms and your torso, and that they are around Oldir as well, though he does not seem to see them.
We killed this guy. I mean, Taller killed this thing.
And behind you, you hear a voice. Long ago, in the lands of dread, whence only evil pathways tread, and only feet of men most bold might cross the shadowed mountains cold. Their northern slopes were filled with woe, with spiders, elvenkind's mortal foe. Their southern faces mounted sheer to rocky pinnacles and piers, whose roots were woven with deceit and washed with waters sickly sweet. Their magics lurked in gulf and glen, so far away, beyond the ken of searching eyes, unless it were from dizzy tower that pricked the air, where only eagles lived and cried. Mighty dark and gloom be descried. Nan Ungortheb, Nan Ungortheb, the valley under Tuolkin's web. And as you turn against the webs, you see, seated at the top of the wine press, huge and bloated, two of her eyes black and shriveled, several of her enormous claws bent or broken, but for all that, huge and ominous and poisonous. You see a great spider.
Oh.
The lady and I had a bargain. I poisoned the well, and she gives me a place to recover my strength after my brother's tender attentions. Are you one of the tasty morsels she set me to eat? You look sweet.
I look at Oldir. Has Oldir recognized the fact that this is an illusion?
He's just kind of looking around.
All right, I slap Oldir.
Oldir is currently oblivious. But you do see a large black web which has wrapped itself kind of around the base of his neck.
Okay. I wrap my hand in my red cloak. I reach over and I grab that thread and I kind of pull it off.
Give me a dagger roll.
Oh, I'm good at that too. Super duper good. TN 14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Son of a... Yeah, okay.
You are wrestling with the web for a moment, and Oldir looks at you and he says, Duvaniel, what are you doing? Let go of my cloak. And he just kind of pulls away from you. Off in the corner of your eye, you can see something huge and hideous shift as the bloated, half-mauled body of the spider begins making its way slowly down the wine press towards you.
All right. I assure you I am not sweet. This is a mistake which many, many have made. All right.
What are you doing?
Let's see here. Can I light one of my elf lights?
Sure.
I'm going to put a hope, raise a torch.
That's going to be your action.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I mean, you've got some traveling gear with you. It's not night currently, but you do have, I mean, you have a torch, so you pull it out, and as you raise it aloft, it bursts into flame. As the light is kindled, Oldir looks at the light, and then he looks at you, and he looks around. Duvaniel, are you doing this? What is going on?
It depends on what this is, but brother, you and I are.
He turns towards the spider with his spear leveled.
Okay, good. No time to explain!
That was your action. Oldir is going to... What's the sitch on Oldir's?
Drag.
Yeah, he's not going to throw his spear. Cool. All right.
There she is, with her horrible, ugly old face. Okie doke.
All right. Choose a stance. Oldir is going to step forward and strike with his spear.
I can only fire my bow from rearward?
Only from rearward.
And if he's in...
Right. You would be able to use your bow in opening volleys only, but you lit the elf light.
Okay.
So
that's... Okay.
All right.
Well, he gives him...
Oldir stumbles forward, and actually, as he stumbles forward with the spear, his foot snags on one of the webs, and he pitches forward, now at the huge spider's feet as the spider closes in on top of him. I need you, first of all, to give me a valor test. TN 20.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Gandalf's! All right, Gandalf's!
All right.
And so that would be.
I think it's also heart.
Because if I spend a point of hope, that would get me there, but then that would also be miserable. So let's not do that.
It is your call.
Miserable means I can't. Certain die don't count, or if I roll 11, I get.
It means if you roll an eye, you have a bout of madness.
Yeah, not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Had enough of that. Had enough of
Yeah.
that. You are now frightened, and you cannot spend hope while you're in Chulkin's presence.
Well, awesome. Does that mean my torch goes out, or
No, your torch is lit.
Okay.
And I believe that Chulkin has to spend a point of hate or be compelled to follow it, but that's not really a problem as it is currently, being held in front of her. So,
Sort of wants to follow it.
as she moves her lumbering body towards you, she's going to stoop over Oldir and attempt to pierce him with her beak.
Oh shoot.
And she needed a 13, and that's what she gets.
Okay.
So she did not get her edge. But it misses because it was a called shot. He had a called shot coming. He was going to be poisoned, but so it misses because there's no great success. All right. She stumbles over him, and her beak slams into his body, but his chainmail manages to prevent it from piercing. It is your turn, or it's actually Oldir's turn. So he's going to push himself up and try to gore her with his spear, and he is wholly unsuccessful. Only needed an 11 to hit too. Gosh, that's so bad. Let's see if he spent body. Nope. Nope. No. Okay. It is your turn.
All right, so I
Oh
cannot use my
wait.
bow.
You know what? Spear. He's gonna. He can't spend hope. Never mind. Because he's also frightened.
Okay. So I have to. I can only fire from the rearward position, so I have to move back and then fire.
Uh.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Typically speaking, you would only be able to fight in the rearward position if there were three people in a close combat stance. But I
Okay.
will say in this case, there's just one enemy. So
Okay.
if you and so you do outnumber the enemy 2-1. So I
Okay.
would say if you wanted to like take a step back and use your bow, you could do so.
Okay. So if and I think we talked about this before. If I lit my arrow with this magical fire, would the
Lighting the
magic
arrow,
transfer, or is that another
it
point of hope?
doesn't transfer. You would have to actually use the elf lights on the arrow.
Okay. So as and I'd have to light it on the arrow first, and then that would
Right.
be alpha.
Right.
Okay.
And you can't spend hope at this point.
All right. I whistle to Chilkin. Over here, you big, ugly, horrifying mother of evil. It's the best she can do right now. She's terrified.
It's a family show.
Yes, that's right. As she takes the torch and she whirls it around her head and she flings it to one side.
Give me a dagger roll for throwing.
Yay.
You hurl the torch, it hits the ground, sputters, and goes out.
Dang it.
It is Tulkin's turn. She
I hope I'm not getting back.
she laughs at you. And it's this creaky, throaty sound as she slowly moves her way forward. And she looks. She raises a claw towards Oldir and says, Nan ungartheb, nan ungartheb. And Oldir's gonna need to roll a wisdom check, which he's super good at. Oldir kind of looks at her slack-jawed, and his spear clatters to the ground, and he turns and just walks straight into a web.
Well, then.
And then she attacks you with her beak.
Of course she does.
And hits for 9 damage.
Okay.
It is your turn.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I am 1 point away from weary.
It is your turn.
Okay. I assume Oldir is no longer in fighting position, so I could not reward fire.
I mean,
that is my best skill.
He's technically still in the forward stance. Like he's not completely out of the fight. He is. I believe that he has to spend his next turn. He loses his next action and is automatically captured as if targeted by a successful seize victim ability. So he's in the forward stance, but he cannot change stances, and he doesn't get an action next round.
Okay. So I go ahead and retreat back.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and, now that my hands are free, I draw my bow to my cheek and loose an arrow into this foul creature.
Do it.
Suck it. That is also not my edge by 1.
But it is a great success. So, what's your normal? And do you not have a button for your bow?
Oh, I should have rolled that instead. Sorry.
It's a roll it again just so I can see all the numbers right there.
Sure.
We will let your the actual numbers of your previous roll stand. Right. So that's 5. So you do 10 damage total. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You loose the arrow. And it. You loose the arrow, and it hits her huge, bloated abdominal region below her head, and she gives a horrifying shriek as she recoils for a moment in pain as your arrow stings and sinks into her hide in what appears to be a gash that was still healing. Sinks all the way down up to the fletching. She in just madness and rage attacks Oldir as he is restrained and can't do anything about it.
Crap. Oh.
Yeah. 12 and 9 is 17. She just savages Oldir. At this point, like, he's like stunned and trying to pull himself free, and she just, her whole beak just catches his torso and begins just like crushing his rib cage in her huge maw. He can't do anything, so it's your turn.
Okay. Let's see here. All right, I am going to make a called shot if that's possible, right?
You let's see here.
That means I have to make a extraordinary success in order to get a
right.
called shot, right?
Or a great success. Yes, that's
success.
correct.
All right. In that case, I am making a called shot. I am aiming for one of her eyes, and that's right. Don't do it that way, Ben. Do it this way, the way you're supposed to do it. Yes.
That is not a great success.
But it's a Gandalf. It's my edge, at least.
I think that if you make a called shot and you don't get a great success, it just completely misses. Hold on. I will double check. I'm pretty sure about this, but I'll just double check here. I mean, it is a Gandalf. It seems like it should, All right, let's see here. All right. A called shot only hits when the roll matches or beats the target number set for the attack, and the player obtains at least one Tangwar icon in his rolled success die. If the roll result doesn't produce any Tangwar icons, the attack misses altogether, even if the total result matches or beats the attack TN.
Crap. Okay. All right. That's how it goes.
Yep. So that's, yeah. So you take aim, release, and it whizzes right past one of her eye by several inches. And at this point, she just tears into Oldir again. Actually, Oldir has a turn. He at this point has managed to break free from the webbing, and grasping for his dropped spear, he grabs it and grabbing it about the middle of the haft, just drives the spearhead up into Tulkin's body.
Come on, son of a.
Nope.
What is wrong with you, buddy?
And he has a called shot coming his way next time. It is your turn. Wait. You just did your turn. He did. I've completely lost the turn order here.
Yeah,
she bit him.
Yes, I did my turn.
She bit him. You shot him. He went. So it's her turn again.
Right.
Well, Oldir has a called shot coming his way, so...
Oh, crap.
Oldir. Cool. Um, as her beak closes in on him a second time, Oldir drops his spear. And he turns and he looks at you, and you can see his eyes red with tears, his face white. And he just stumbles forward and drops to the ground. It is your turn.
Well, obviously I can't use my bow anymore because he's not there.
Well, let's see. He took 9 and 6, so 15 points of damage. Yeah, he is unconscious.
Okay, so he's not on the whiteboard anymore. Okay.
Right.
In that case, all right. Duvaniel calls out to Oldir as he falls, and then throwing down her bow, draws her elven blade, rushes forward, and can I use awe here to try and intimidate this? I mean, it is Tulkeen, so I don't know that it would necessarily make any difference, but
You can certainly try.
all right. So I draw my blade and I stand over his body and I bellow forth in Elvish. What is her highest attribute?
6.
Okay, so I gotta hit 16 or higher.
Normally it's higher, but she had a rough time of it recently.
Yes.
And a great success. So
2 points of hope. They lose
2 points of
2
hate.
points. Yep.
All right.
You will not take my brother.
Interesting. She screams as she recoils. You will be a sweet morsel after this is over. And actually, no, she's going to attempt to ensnare you with her webs. Cool. Cool. All right. Sorry, I have to remember what that does. Ensnare. For some reason this is never actually Here we go. Okay, so it does not do any damage to you. You are, however, seized. You cannot change stances, and you are seized, and your parry rating is now half. Cannot attack with its main weapon as long as seizing the target, but can freely use secondary attack if it possesses one. Okay. All right. So you are caught in webs, and your parry rating is halved.
Okay.
All right. It is your turn.
All right. Let's see here. I don't think screaming at her is going to help anymore.
So she the glands that produce the webbing, she rears up upon her two undamaged hind legs, and there's a kind of a chittering. Her spinners spew forth a noxious, what almost for a moment looks like a cloud of palpable darkness, which then wraps around you, and you find yourself momentarily entangled.
All right. All right. Sword to the face. I got nothing else. All right. May the stars guide my blade. And edge.
Ah. Okay. Um. Against 16.
Yes.
You drive the blade with a final desperate with a final moment of desperate hope and a quick prayer. You thrust your blade up, and as you're thrusting it upward, you see a gash right around where your arrow sunk in earlier. A place in the incredibly ancient horny hide of this creature, which seems to have been torn open recently by some battle and has not fully healed. And redirecting your blow, you thrust the blade upward into the gap, and Chulkin backpedals, screaming as a noxious black blood pours from the wound. As you pull your sword back, the blood courses down the side of your hand and your arm as Chulkun backpedals. My tendrils are already deep into the hearts of your people. We will meet again. And she turns, and her 6 good legs heaving her bloated body along, she heads towards the crest of the ridge and vanishes down the other side.
Whew. Good grief. All right. Duvaniel will cut herself free from this tangle of webs, and then kneel down over Oldir. Is there anything I can do for him?
Give me a healing roll.
I'm super bad at that. 14?
14.
All right. Dang it. Nope. Not even with spending hope.
As you pull back his chainmail, you can see the place where the beak tore the armor apart and the sting entered. And the wound is already beginning to close over, and the skin around it is black with a poison which seems to be pulsing through his veins.
Okay. Either by Elven lore or Mirkwood lore or Rhymes of lore, do I know any cures for this poison? Do I know anything that could counteract
You know enough to know that you don't have any way of, if your skill at healing has failed you, then the only hope for Oldir would be to get him to a a master healer. There's probably someone in Thranduil's household who would be capable of healing this, if not Thranduil himself. But short of that, it is down to, because of the limitations of your skill, it's down to
Right.
Oldir's strength of body, whether or not he will
Do
pull
I
through.
do I know how long someone typically lasts, having been badly poisoned by?
Spider poison itself is not usually fatal.
Okay, I mean, but
Spiders
this
do,
is Tolkien.
spiders don't eat dead food,
Okay,
but it is a combination of just like the crushed bones and the
right.
just the trauma that he experienced, and overall else you can sense a heaviness of spirit. It is almost as if Oldir has lost the will to live.
Okay. All right. Um, can I? All right. I cradle Oldir's head in my lap, and can I sing? Can I use song to sort of, or inspire to bring him courage to fight this thing?
You could try.
All right. All right. Song is a favored, so I could possibly spend one more point of hope to bring him back. That's going to be 14.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Over your brother, you begin to sing a song, something that perhaps your mother had sung to the two of you, and that he knew as a child. And as the song ends and no response comes from him, you sing it again and again. And at the end of the third stanza, his eyes flutter open momentarily, and his gray eyes lock with yours. Duvaniel, where did we go so wrong? Tell me. Tell me this is not in vain.
No, old dear. You and I, you and I have stood against one of the three great spiders of this wood, and we have driven her off. We have protected this vineyard, our birthright. You and I did that.
He clutches your arm. Promise me. Burn. Burn it all. Cleanse. Cleanse it with flame.
I
Good
I will.
fruit may grow here. Again. But not until the world is changed.
I promise you. I promise you that we will cleanse. I will cleanse this place with fire, and And not just this place.
Find the lamp. I see now. The king was right. We are fading. We will become the folk of the dusk. The Yatani. The aftercomers. They need the light. Promise me.
I will find the lamp. If it is the last thing that I do, brother. And I will fight. And remember, brother, it's after dusk the stars come out. And it's in the twilight that you and I dance and sing and take joy. We may be the people of the dusk, and we may be the last, but let us be the last hope then.
You're always the poet. I have always followed you, my sister, because your vision of the world was so much more beautiful than mine.
Oh, you were the hunter, brother. And there is no hunter in the world which does not see beauty in the wood.
I think the stars are coming out.
She starts to sing again.
He goes still.
And Duvaniel retrieves her torch after she closes his eyes, which maybe they're already closed, and she casts her red cloak over Oldir, and she lights her torch, and she walks through the vineyard, lighting each of the dry, withered, corrupted vines until there's a great smoke that rises from the mountain. And then taking the tools that are there near the vineyard, she digs her brother's grave and she lays him in it. And she takes her sword. This- I've heard it said that a sword is nameless until it has deeds to its name. And with this sword I have wounded the mother of spiders, the last daughter of Shelob. And I give you this sword, brother. And she lays it over him, and then raises a pile of stones there. And I think probably that probably takes her most of the night, I suspect.
Yeah, it's a fairly. It's easy to. You have plenty of light to work by, though, since you just set a whole vineyard on fire.
Yes.
There is a foul smell that goes up as the vineyard burns, but it does burn. And
And
when the sun comes the next morning, rising over the crest of the mountains and the cairn that you have laid out for your brother, there's a charred, empty, bare face of stone where the vineyard once was. Not a stalk has survived the burning.
I think perhaps better men than I had best better elves than I had better replant this. But she lays her hand on the top of her brother's grave, and by Oldir and by Tinuel and by Amras and by that man of Dale, I swear vengeance upon Tolkien and upon the werewolf and upon Doguldur. And I will not go to the sea and join my people until this death, until my brother, until my people are avenged. And I swear it before this mountain, which is my birthright and my home, and before the grave of my brother, and beneath the sun as it rises in this dawn. And she throws her cloak over her shoulders, and takes her brother's bow. I assume he has a bow.
He has a. He doesn't have a bow. He has a sword and a spear.
Okay, so she takes her brother's sword. Well, no, he's gonna put the spear. I think she buried the spear with him, since it was his.
That is up to you. I will say it is a bitter spear, and if you would like to carry it in memory of him,
I have no skill in spear.
fair enough.
But it seems like the sort of thing that
well, it's up to you.
Are her parents still alive somewhere? Her and Oldir's parents?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I think perhaps she will take it to return to them.
Okay.
But she takes his sword and she straps it on her brother's sword, and wrapped in the red cloak, she sets back to return to the king's halls.
As you make your way down the ridge, you can see the trail of thick black blood and slime that Tule Queen has left as she has drug her huge, bloated body across the stones. The trail seems to lead up to a large crack or crevasse in the rock, which it then exits out the other side.
Okay.
As you pass the crevasse, you can just barely make out, glittering down in the hole, something which has caught the sunlight.
Well, I think I'd best investigate this then.
As you make your way down into the hole, you see a number of bones. The bodies and the skeletons of what appear to be elven folk who, at one time or another, have wandered their way up here into Tulkin's lair. And at first you think it was perhaps just one of the bleached skulls that you'd seen the light gleam on. But as you look closer underneath, you see, under tattered clothing, the drained husks of gems and the dull glitter of gold. I will need a corruption test from you.
Excellent.
As you look upon the treasure of Tule Queen.
14?
16.
16. Okay, and that's going to be a heart. I spent that last point of hope.
Yep.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and spend the last point of hope.
Um,
And that will make my hope equal to my shadow, so I'm now miserable.
yes.
Which, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's a very small treasure hoard. Tule Queen's only been here a few years. However, you do get to make one magical treasure roll if you would like to do so.
Okay, that's just a straight D12?
D12.
All right, elf dice. Be kind. Oh,
Nope.
well,
But you do have 5 treasure. So
excellent. That is better than I started with. Oof, okay.
with that, you make your way down the mountain. Where will Duvaniel be heading to?
Well, let's see here. I think she is alone now, so I know she's going to want help. And she promised the king that she would not return until the blight that was upon the wayward elves had been resolved, which it has more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But also she promised her brother that she would find the lamb, and also that's very much what the king wishes. So I think probably she's going to go to the nearest, I don't know so much elven settlement or watch post.
Just head towards the borders
Right.
of
Head toward the
Thranduil's
borders,
realm.
and pass word to, and actually I think probably send two messages. One with her brother's spear and dagger, to her parents, with word of her brother's passing and his final bravery and his resting place. And then the second message will be to King Thranduil, saying that the vineyards of the elves were corrupted by the magic of Tulkeen.
It's Tule Queen, I think.
Tule Queen. Okay.
Yeah.
By Tule Queen, we have driven her off. I have We have driven her off. Oldir has fallen. I go for the lamp.
You make your way down the shores of the enchanted stream to where it intersects with the forest river. And there, standing beside the bank with his hands clasped in front of him, as though waiting for you, you see your old master, Ormel. I had a dream 12 nights hence that you stood upon a rock and cried out in the darkness. Oldir has fallen?
He has. He has returned to the earth, to Arda.
And the work?
The work is done. I have wounded the great spider, the mother of Mirkwood spiders, and sent her to wherever her dark home is to nurse her wounds.
Well then, I think you and I have a lamp to find.
And if I may, Master, you've taught me how to make lamps. There are 3 which I wish to make. Perhaps once we find the lamp of Balfi, you will assist me in this.
We will speak of many things to come in days to come, Duvaniel. For now, I think perhaps some wine.
I am afraid I have gone off wine a bit, Master. And
Clear water, then.
Please.
Epilogue. I went out to the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand, and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream, and caught a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame, but something rustled on the floor, and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name and ran and faded through the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, I will find out where she is gone, and kiss her lips and take her hands, and walk among long dappled grass, and pluck till time and times are done, the silver apples of the moon and the golden apples of the sun.